and 2 and 1. Practice knife safety when you're in the kitchen, otherwise your fingers, they're gonna be stitching. It's the holiday season, but for any time of year, knife safety really matters. So let's be clear. I'm gonna cut this bagel as an example of the do's and don'ts of using a knife. Now, I don't need to be in the shot, but the bagel does. So first of all, have a sharp knife. Get yourself a sharpening steel. When you sharpen the knife, it's a fairly shallow angle. And what you're doing is the blade kind of gets messed up and you are putting the blade back. Now, if you haven't sharpened it in a long time, this sharpening steel isn't going to do quite as much as you need. So you might need to really do some work, look up some YouTube videos on sharpening, possibly. But if you take proper care, if you have a honing steel, every few times that you've used your knife, you hone it up with your steel, it'll stay nice and sharp. I don't have anything around to show you how sharp it is, so too bad. We're going to see it on the bagel. So that's important. Now, why should you have a very sharp knife? Well, if you have a dull knife, you will push harder to make it cut. And when you push harder to make the knife cut, you will lose control and you will cut your fingers. And that's why you get the stitches. Okay, so that's very important. A sharp knife. Sharp knives are safer than dull knives because you have less effort in order to make the cut. Now, if I'm going to slice this bagel, I have to watch where I put my fingers. You should curl your fingers up. So if it's vegetables in particular, but anything you're cutting this holiday season, if you need your hand to steady it, don't put your fingers like this, because any kind of little bump, spasm, anything, you come right down on your fingernails. Ow, pain. We don't want pain. So you curl your fingers up. This way, if something happens, you're actually slicing with the flat of the knife and you're not digging in the edge. So as I go, I'm guiding the knife. The flat is circling on my knuckles instead of the blade having that accidental chance to cut in. So, sharp knife, curl your fingers. What else do we need to know? Well, the type of knife is also important, okay? Now, going back to if you have a dull knife, if this knife were dull and I were using it, it's fairly sharp. I haven't put the steel to it or anything, but if it's dull and I'm pushing, and I push more, my hand could slide. And if my hand slides, guess where it slides? Onto the blade. I cut myself. So if you have a knife with a good bolster or a curve to the molded handle, especially on modern knives where it's just like plastic formed, right? That helps. Also, don't do this. And I have a tendency to always want to have precision control with your finger across the blade. No, don't put your hand in front of the bolster or in front of the handle on a knife while cutting and doing fine work. Point your thumb. So you hold your hand further back. Now the Bauernwehr, of course, has this nice little hook. So I can slide the hand back. I point the thumb along the top. That's how I can have control. So now I put it all together. And what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to make nice drawing cuts back and forth. I've curled up my hand. I have precision. I have control. It's a nice sharp knife. So it's not always going to be perfect, but there we go, right? I can slice across, and if it's vegetables, which I don't have in the house because I'm traveling later today, so this is all I had left to show you, but I really want to show you for the holidays, have some safety tips for your knife. So keep it sharp and clean. Get yourself a sharpening steel. Okay, curl your fingers back as you slice, so that you can do the motion. When those chefs on TV go, their hands are curling up. They're not putting their fingers out like that because one little misstep, you cut, right? A little bolster or something that's curved to help protect your hand if it does slide forward. And of course, point your thumb and not your finger because your finger is longer. It's going to go over the edge of the blade and that's in the danger zone. Don't take that high way. Point your thumb, nice, secure grip. But with all those factors combined, you should have a successful and safe time, whether it's the holiday season or any season when you're working in your kitchen. Anywhere, do stay safe. Have the happiest of holidays, and I will see you again soon.